Hey everybody, John Hetzel, president of Local 1133 here. I'm here today with our media guru and steward, Danny Rivera.
And you're watching Rights Watch.
Absolutely, and protect those rights. Watch it, because they're coming out for them. Hey, we're here with you today because we have some very important news that we want to share that just happened. This is cutting edge. Happened Friday evening, which is very good for Veterans Administration and 20 other government entities. We have a friend, brothers and sisters, a federal judge in the state of California that has temporarily halted President Trump's sweeping government overhaul. That's pretty big news, Danny.
Right. So that, as we know, this current administration is going after federal employee rights. This agency and this current administration right now is trying to act on its own behalf against what seems to be the law. So right now, thanks to the efforts of, I would say, all the unions and everything else that, all those brave lawyers that are raising up all these different lawsuits and everything else. Right now, that we've just got breaking news this week that there's a temporary halt and all these different things that this agency is trying to do to basically just dismantle the government. I mean, they're trying to make the government inefficient on purpose. Don't be fooled into thinking that the government's inefficient just because they say so. They're purposely going after these services. They're going after government employees. They're going after everything that they can, so then they could say that the government is inefficient. It's all on purpose just to make it seem that way, so they can try to get away with as much as they can. Again, I'm here joined with President John Hetzel from AFGE Local 1133. And he's going to talk to us about this breaking news about this temporary halt that this judge just ruled against the Trump administration. So John, what does this halt mean for government agencies?
What this halt means is very important, Danny. This is what we were hoping for, although it is a brief reprise. Okay? This was a ruling that came from San Francisco, California, right, based on litigation that was filed, like you said, by AFGE and other unions, a coalition, we'll say, of labor unions and nonprofits. I'd be remiss not to mention this judge's name. She is U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston, and she is a Clinton appointee. And basically, what happened was our lawyers, AFGE and the coalition, right, argued that President Trump's efforts to radically restructure and dismantle the federal government, like Danny was saying, he was doing that without any authorization from the Congress and from the Constitution of the United States. So basically what the judge is saying is, while the Supreme Court did say that the president has unfettered rights, right to change the government, to change departments, he does not have authority to seek these changes in an unlawful way. So it's kind of opening the door to say, is what he is doing right now within the Constitution, and should he be involving the Congress in this?
Right. So it seems like the argument, it's not that the government can't make attempts to make it more efficient, right? What's going on is that the way they're going about it and the methods that they're using seem to be very unconstitutional and very so illegal. I mean, I do believe the government has the right to try to look at its processes and try to make improvements on it. But the way this current administration has done it, they've been doing it in a way that They're violating basic human rights in a sense. They're violating labor laws. They're going after federal employees. They're firing people left and right. Just in a very unusual manner, like in a very unprecedented way. Try not to follow rules.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Danny, because one of the things that came out of this ruling, right, was that the first time the Trump administration was in, he made very similar changes. But this judge is saying in that case, in those cases, he did it the right way. He involved the Congress and he went along with the Constitution. So she was kind of saying, why is it changing now, this time around, which I think gave her some pause, right, to say, we don't know if this is right. And another very important part she wrote in her ruling on Friday evening, that any president, not just President Trump, must elicit the help of his co-equal branch, which in this case, and partner, which in this case is the Congress.
Right. Because our government is made out of, it's supposed to work in a check and balances system. I mean, and what this current administration is doing is they're trying to bypass all of that. He doesn't want to go through Congress. He thinks he's above the law. He doesn't have to follow anything that the judicial branch tells him that he needs to do. So basically, he thinks he's his own government and that he can just basically do whatever he wants with the people. He can dictate whatever he wants to do instead of ruling with under the law, instead of looking for diplomatic ways, instead of looking for legal ways. This guy is all he's doing is he's looking up for shortcuts. He's looking up for ways he can get away with as much as possible in as little time as possible, creating chaos, ensuing fear into federal employees, ensuing fear into the heads of the agencies. He's trying to basically rule, make himself the supreme ruler of the United States. This news makes me very happy in the sense that there are judges out there that seem to value the law more than their own jobs. I mean, we've seen this administration go after judges.
Absolutely. Lawyers, law firms, judges. It's interesting, Danny, you bring that up because there is a reason we don't have a king in the United States. And that goes back to our first president, George Washington, right? They actually wanted him to be king, right, for life. And he said, no, that's what we escaped from, right, to come here. So I think very smart, right, even with our first president, to say we don't want an absolute ruler. Right. We don't want a monarchy. We have three systems of government, right, that work hand in hand, but also independently, right, as a system of checks and balances, which is so important. Danny, we also have to mention, right, this is a temporary restraining order that this judge has issued. It does, and this is very important, pause further implementation of Trump's February 11th executive order, which directs the agencies to begin major reorganizations, as well as it stops all the subsequent memos from OPM, right, VA, other departments, right, instructing agencies on how to comply with with this executive order. It does apply to 20 federal agencies, including the Department of State, Department of Treasury, Veterans Affairs, and believe it or not, DOGE. It even covers DOGE, that they must stop. And what we really love about this judge, and you're absolutely right, Danny, this is what we need right now, because we are obviously not following the rules of law, the rules of the Constitution, right? Rules of just how humans treat each other, right? And so it's so important, right, that we can have these independent individuals, like you said, step out without fear of reprisal, retaliation, and say this is wrong. Now, we said it's temporary. What does that mean, right? We have a hearing on this scheduled, AFGE does, for May the 22nd. The judge has issued this restraining order through May the 23rd, which is good. That takes it through the hearing, right? So hopefully she can hear, or whomever the judge is will hear, right, and take this into consideration. We certainly hope that it is continued. We hope that it's a permanent thing, but we know right now it's a brief reprieve for somebody to say, this doesn't look right to me. This needs to be reevaluated.
So I think it's important for people to know what happens during a RIF and how we can help them. But first, let's talk about something just as important: staying connected, staying informed, and staying ready. Riverside is a stress-free way to give your business, your organization, and your customers the website they deserve. To learn more about how to give your business a professional online presence, visit riversidehub.com. Right now, unions and labor groups can get up to 10% off a multi-year plan, giving you a powerful, professional digital space when you can organize, communicate, track grievances, and stay connected with your members. If you're ready to make it easier than ever to build and manage your online presence, visit riversidehub.com/fight-for-rights and schedule your free consultation today. That's again, riversidehub.com/fight-for-rights. Let's build something powerful together. Right. And I think we've spoken on this show before about different things that this current administration is going after. One of them being the RIF. So will this stop completely the government from trying to pursue things like the RIF, things like going after temporary employees, things of that nature?
So there's some key words that you put in there, specifically completely. The answer is no. Okay, this is a temporary restraining order. It goes through the 23rd, like I said, of this month, and through the hearing date. It does stop all those things right now. Okay, they are not allowed to progress with any of those things according to the judge's ruling, right? Through the 23rd, which gives us our hearing date. So can I say with certainty, right, what's going to come out of that hearing? No, we hope, right? We hope, Danny, that a judge does say, hey, this is not constitutional. This is against federal law. They must participate, like I said, with their cohort branches of federal government. We hope it becomes a permanent thing, but I would be disingenuous if I said right now, right, that we know it's going to carry past the 23rd.
Right. So right now, there's no guarantee on what's going to happen at the end, but at least there is some hope right now. There's light at the end of the tunnel that we can see. It was starting to look grim at first, and I understand a lot of federal employees and a lot of agencies were starting to feel a little. They were starting to feel down. They were starting to feel hopeless. They were starting to feel that this current administration was just going to do whatever they want to do without following proper procedures. And I feel that, well, firstly, that's their intent. Their intent is to make people feel a certain way. Their intent is to make people feel that there's no hope, that they want people to feel that there's nothing they can do about it, so just might as well not do anything about it. I mean, I'm really grateful, and that's why I stress so much the importance of unions and the support for unions in our government, in our agencies, and not just that, but even in the private sector, because we need people that are able to stand up for these dictator types of rulers. I mean, like you clearly said, the United States does not want a king. We do not need a king. We have, and sometimes there's different processes for a reason, right? And the main reason I would say for everything that's going on and all these check and balances is that so we don't have a king type personality rule over our system, rule over the people, and just completely dismantle the way the United States run. I mean, it puts our freedom, our liberty at risk, because what would stop the next guy from coming and just doing worse? You know, if this person can get away with certain things, and I think the first time he stepped in, I think he was testing the waters a little bit, and he saw that he was able to get away with certain things. So this time he said, well, if I could get away with this, I can get away with more. And I feel that this is what the thing that he's trying to do right now before his term ends. But I'm so glad that there's judges out there that do not fear, that do not fear reprisal, that are not scared by the intimidation tactics from this administration.
And it is, Danny. And one point I'll add to that, usually in the legal sector, right, when a temporary restraining order is issued like that, people don't appeal that because it's a very limited time, right? And you're going to get to your hearing date. In this particular case, immediately the administration filed an appeal, which is normally not done, right, on a TRO. I don't even know if they could get some kind of decision right before the 23rd of this month, but it just further demonstrates, right, the lengths that this administration will go to, right, to continue to emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually torture employees. And I call it that. That's a serious word, but that's exactly what's happening. Just exactly what you said. People are living in fear day to day, moment to moment about what's going to change. And we need heroes like Judge Ilston, right, to step in and say, no, we're not going to tolerate this, because we've already seen there's ones that'll step in for the administration, right? And remember, judges are supposed to be neutral, brother. That's that, but we know that's not really true, because a lot of times their loyalty is dependent upon who appoints them, right? But we need to find judges like this, right, that are fair and look at things impartially and really look at it with the eye of law, right, not the eye of a dictator.
Right, and I think there are some lawyers, well, not some lawyers, some judges that, even those that have been appointed by this current president, some of them have also stepped in and are trying to do the right thing. So I feel there's hope if we follow the law, and if these judges they have their morals, and they're standing on the right place, which should be the law, and are impartial, and they owe their allegiance not to the president but to the Constitution, then I think that should be a very good outcome for our federal employees and our federal sector. One last question. During this waiting period, what can we expect to happen during this waiting period?
Well, I firmly expect the agencies are not going to come to the employees and go, hey, have you read that a judge put a hold on us? Okay. Insofar as the watchdog, who actually says if it stops or not, I think the union is going to play a big part in that, in individual agencies, to say, are employees being fired, or some of these things that the judge has put a pause on, are they occurring? Certainly, you don't want to aggravate a district judge, right, and not abide by what they say. And even Trump, and his administration has said, even though they're not always doing it, we're going to abide by what the judges are saying. And that, let's see. But I don't see a dramatic, notification for a 2-week time, because I'm certain, right, that if something doesn't go our way in the hearing or move in a positive direction, they're going to go right back on the 23rd to what they were doing. All right, so we're in a dangerous time. But I say that to say this, Danny, because we've been talking a lot together and independently about people joining the union, being members of the union, right? And they've made this very difficult, right, with the dues deduction. But I've literally had people contact me this week and say, well, I got out of the union because I never really thought I was going to need it. Well, let me tell our brothers and sisters something right now, right? We had this kind of success because of AFGE and the unions, and because people like you are members of the union. We can't continue to do these kind of fights with the numbers that we have lost, right? Because everybody wants this to come out in the wash, so to speak, the right way. But the only way, Danny and folks, we can do that is with continued membership and continuing to grow. So if there's ever a reason to say, do I need to be a member of the union? The answer is yes, and it is now, because that's how we win small battles like this. And when we win small battles and put it together, Danny, we can win the war. And I've said before, we're at war right now in this country. It's not a war with guns, right? It's a war with ideals, okay? And there is a right way and a wrong way. But we need to win these small battles to be able to win the war. And to do that, we need soldiers. And we need soldiers that are participants in this thing. So it's not just us, Local 1133, it's all across the country, right? Because of this dues deduction, people have lost membership. And people say now, why should I be a member? Why should I re-sign up? This is why, brothers and sisters. And the time is now to do that.
Right. So, you know, if you're a federal employee, if you have any chance, I mean, even in the private sector, whatever, if you have the opportunity to join a union, this is the time, more than ever. You know, support the people that are supporting you. There's plenty of people that say unions don't do anything for me. Well, this is the perfect example for you to see what unions are doing for you. Probably you don't feel it directly. You don't see it directly. Maybe you haven't called the union yourself, but even still, they're fighting for you. So support the people that are fighting for you. Support the people that are fighting on courts, on the legal system, and are trying to do the right things, because this current administration is trying to do the wrong thing. We're here to fight for you, and we're here to protect your rights. All right, this has been John Hetzel, president of Local 1133 of AFGE. Thank you all for watching. Share and subscribe to this video, and keep watching our videos, as we're gonna keep rolling out more, keeping you guys informed of what's going on, not just in the labor sector, but in the federal sector in general. So we're watching all these things out for you. Just try to keep yourself informed. Remember, information is power, and they want to keep people from information to keep them powerless. All right. So thank you for watching. This has been Danny Rivera Jr., and we are not giving up.